Hello, good afternoon to all of you. Year 2020 is just a juncture in the history of the mankind. This kind of crisis situation does not come every day. It's once in a lifetime or maybe in centuries. COVID-19 has given us the horrific stories of lockdowns, industry meltdown, overwhelming health facilities, and the worst of all, losing our loved ones. These situations sometimes make us think, what are we going to do to deal with this situation? And how are we going to come out of it? Well, before I start my talk, I will give a disclaimer that the pictures and the images which I'm going to show are from open source, and the events which I'm going to describe has certain information held back. Only the relevant part for the today's context has been shared with you. Coming back to my talk, the important question today is that are we at the place at a zero, or we are the one? Are we doing something, nothing, or something? So let's discuss this out. I'm going to present to you an image which depicts two personalities. One who made the world cry, the other one who made everybody laugh. So who you are? Are you the zero, or are you the one? Are you the pessimistic, or are you the optimistic person? Are you a threat, or are you opportunity? Well, to get the right kind of answers to our life issues and the life positions, let's hear 2-3 events which I had to face in my life and got certain lessons which I carried with me. First of my story. This is about the survival instinct. Year 1996, 97. I was posted in a place which is a beautiful location called Rann of Kutch. And the hero of my story is the Dafadar Sukhdev Singh, an operator by trade, an excellent sportsman, and a boxer, but professionally arrogant and sometimes crosses the line with the superiors. This incident happened when we were supposed to carry out a patrol in the area which is as seen on your screen is Sir Creek. A patrol of 17 people were tasked to move on this piece of land which is supposed to be a marshy land. It has got a crest of salt which at times as thin as paper, but at certain places it is 7 to 8 feet in depth. The patrol was supposed to cross almost 60 kilometers in the next 24 hours to find out certain areas where the enemy could infiltrate in our country. It started well. All planning was done at right places. The patrol started in the evening, went through certain kilometers, and started to realize that this marshy land has started sinking in. The place has a lot of slush and mud beneath. At places, even a vehicle can sink down at any moment. When they started, they realized that they are going deeper and deeper into the slush. And all hell broke loose after the midnight when the seaside tide flooded the area and everybody was inside the water up to their chest height. They were spending the whole night standing at one place, hoping the tide to recede. Next day morning, when the sun rose, the temperatures started climbing up. Mind you, this is the area where the temperature shoots up to 52 degrees because of the salt concentration and dry sand. condition. People started getting dehydrated. They wanted to reach to the nearest land point. The officer controlling the complete patrol decided to reach to the nearest point where they can be at comfort. But in the bargain, he also started having dehydration. Well, they tried their level best, reached to a point in few hours they could hit a hard land. But by the time everybody was feeling dehydrated, their complete equipment gone rusted because of the high salt concentration, and their communication failed because of the water seeping into the equipment. Dafada Sukhdev, true to his nature, he started asking the question to reach a place where everybody can survive. Little they knew after that that they had already crossed the international border and they were sitting in the other country. So we had to make quick decision, and Sukhdev requested the officer to move the patrol to the closest Indian point. He also advised him how to make his movement, instead of walking, sliding onto the marshy land so that they could reach to the next point. The condition of every patrol member was deteriorating fast. As the sun reached to the noon condition, almost everybody feeling unconscious. He took the lead, tried to his level best, and even guided the people to survive. For next 36 hours, these people have crawled from one point to the other, making it possible to reach to the nearest place where they could be rescued. To survive, they had to even drink their own urine because there was no fresh water available. But with his effort, we managed to rescue all 15 people, and they had to undergo a treatment for severe dehydration. The lesson I learned as a young captain from this incident was two. The survival instinct of a man who tried to raise his bar is always the one who makes people life easier, happier, and try to make them comfort. But on a professional front, for me as an officer and a soldier, the lesson was that every man has to be brought back to its base alive. And that I carried as my responsibility, being the superior in the setup. Second story. This is a beautiful place in 1999-2000 where I was located, called the heaven on earth. But we had certain specific tasks to do. The story is about how mental control can take over the muscle memory. The hero of my story is a paratrooper named Surinder Chetri. He was a commando, very physically fit, and extremely polite. We were to carry out a patrol and a blocking of a place where we heard from intelligence reports that there are going to be terrorist movement to a particular village, which happens to be the home of a most wanted terrorist of India. We set out our course to set up the block. I was in the patrol. When we were about to reach that place, just 2 kilometers short of that, I realized that somebody was hitting my back. It happened in last 200-300 meters. Tactically, we are supposed to keep a space of 5 to 6 steps behind so that nobody gets engaged in one shot or a burst of fire. So realizing if something is amiss, I signaled the patrol to stop, and I turned back. To my horror, Khetri was moving behind me with his eyes closed. That was a very dangerous situation because a person in sleep, if he gets suddenly awaken up, he can open the trigger. All our weapons were live and ready to fire. I didn't say anything to him that point, but the next day I confronted. When I asked him, if you were feeling so sleepy, why you have to go and patrol with us? I could have changed somebody else. He politely said, sir, I was there in the other operations for the last 48 hours. I didn't have the time, but don't worry. I have learned the art of walking with my eyes closed. I can hear your footsteps and can follow them. I was a bit surprised. But later on I realized that this habit of a person to control the body from his mind is a special talent which he has increased with his senses of hearing and mastered it. Let me tell you, I tried doing it with some success, not for walking sleep, but to wake myself up for the work every day in the morning. For the last 25 years, I never used an alarm clock. I tried waking up at the prescribed time where I think before sleep, and I do get up. Normally, my time of waking up is prior to 5 o'clock, where I have 2 hours to myself, do my thinking, my meditation, and all of the exercise before I take on the daily job. But this habit of controlling the body and the muscles is something which I realized and have learned from him, and I'm thankful to that person. Third story. This is a time when I was commanding the regiment. And as a yearly ritual, we had to go for a training exercise and do the firing practices for our crews. Year 2013, or maybe later part of the 12th, we were at deserts. The condition of deserts, very hot, dusty, and at times the sun makes it difficult for you to walk for long hours. The regiment was ready to fire. I was at control tower with the gunnery staff and all other people who were to manage the complete exercise. The tanks were lined up in front of the tower, and they were to fire 3 rounds at the different stages, engaging the targets allocated by us from the tower. While doing this exercise, when we started, everything was okay. But within first few rounds were fired, I could hear from my left flank that some metal cracking sound, which made me believe that something has gone wrong. I tried to see that area, which was about 600 meters from me. Could not make out anything because of the dust kicked up in the firing. You could see how much of a curtain gets raised up when you fire such heavy caliber ammunition. But the sound was something which was making me worry. So I tried to check up on the radio from the crews who were firing from the left. There was some kind of a confusion. I couldn't get a response. The gunnery officer was asked to hold the fire immediately. My hero, Dafedar Jagat, a gunnery instructor, excellent trainer, and a very upfront person. Before we could even control the crews which were firing already and somebody to look at the tank, I saw him running towards the tank with a fire extinguisher. I realized something is wrong which I could not see from my position. So I asked for binoculars and had a look at it. To my horror, the tank was in flames. Before our ambulance and the fire tender could reach that area, the Dafedar Jagat was already dashing towards that like Usain Bolt. He moved onto the tank. First thing he did to take out those 3 human beings which were trapped inside that. The tank was full of smoke. He got those 3 people out and also helped the unit to douse the fire. while doing so, he put his life at risk because there was a live ammunition inside the tank. Had the fire touched that, it would have been catastrophic. People around it for hundreds of meters would have not survived. Now, such a calamity and a reaction of a person did impress me. And since he was a second generation soldier, I have served with his father also. I knew the traits were really passed on in generations. I commended that boy, and he was awarded with Chief of Army Staff Commendation Card. But this incident gave me a lesson, and it's pertinent in today's environment that every life matters. The boy didn't take anybody's direction to do it. He took the initiative and got it done with sense of responsibility. So with these three incidents which I narrated, I come back to my first question. Who are you? Are you the person who is having an instinct to survive? Are you the person who has the mental control? Or are you the person who cares for the life? But whatever may be your answers in your mind, my reasoning is what the hat you're wearing is the hat which tells you and guides you in your life. With that, I sum up my presentation today. Thank you very much.